So my name is LeDerick Horne, and I am a poet, an entrepreneur, and an advocate for people with disabilities.
Lord said to Eve, where Adam? Adam in the garden pinning leaves. Lord said to Eve, where Adam? Adam in the garden pinning leaves. Lord said to Eve, where Adam?
So we should probably start out by saying that when I was a little kid, I couldn't read, I could barely write, I couldn't spell.
I was diagnosed as having a learning disability when I was 9 years old. It's interesting because I think one of the things that kind of helped me and saved me and allowed me to kind of keep my sanity and to keep moving forward was being able to be an artist. I started out as a little kid as just drawing, visual artist, making comic books, creating these characters, doing that kind of stuff. And even though I was never really aware of it, I think it was me using art as a form of therapy to express, this feeling of being an outsider.
So whenever I have the pleasure of being able to talk to young people, particularly high school students, one of the things I always say to them is, when I was in high school, maybe some of you heard this, when I was in high school, they used to say to us, if you don't learn anything else, you better learn how to think. I always say I don't know what that means. It's like very ethereal, right? I don't know what that means. But what I always say to high school students is, if you don't learn anything else, by the time you graduate, you better learn how best you learn. Right? Learn which way you need to be able to access and present information so that it works to your strengths.
And your education kind of shapes you and makes you who you are. But the idea about, would I do it again? I would, I would. But what I am committed to is the idea that no young person should have to go through all the things that I went through. I'm excited because, the way that our schools are kind of changing now, there are some really positive reforms that are going on. And so there are a lot of kids who, at a very early age are learning some of the skills and are having a degree of confidence that I never had, and I'm still wrestling with trying to develop today.
Lord said to Eve, where Adam? Adam in the garden pinning leaves. Lord said to Eve, where Adam? Adam in the garden pinning leaves. Please give me room to breathe when I'm in the garden, pinning leaves and planting poetries in the minds of those who find it hard to believe. I put them at ease and help them to believe in the power of words. Every sentence is
the production team for this album, for Black and Blue, we did the bulk of our recording, actually I guess all the recording in Crowd Studios. And In Crowd is a studio in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Brother James C. Wood, and then Sekou Davis, Kodaq. I also brought in my boy Todd Gardner. Todd is a producer. He makes house music primarily, and he did all of the production for my first record. I have Melvin McKnight, who is a guitar player and vocalist, Mick Kumari, who is an incredible MC, grew up in DC, but lives in New Jersey now. I helped him out with his debut record, which will be out in a few months. The artwork for the album, he came up with this really interesting sort of like watercolor treatment for the graphics, using the colors black and blue. So that's the team that's helping me out with this. I think as far as the inspiration, I really want to thank all of the young people and the educators that I've been able to work with over the past 5 or 6 years. But the album is actually dedicated to Miss Norsha, who was the teacher's aide in my very first special education classroom. And so, I was in this self-contained class at the end of the hall. And I remember meeting Miss Norsha when I was 9 years old, and I could barely read, I couldn't spell, and she was the aide in Miss Yates's class. And so Miss Yates is the teacher, and she was in charge, and everybody knew she was in charge, but I spent a lot of time in the back of the class at Miss Norsha's table, doing flashcards and just, learning how to write the alphabet and all these different kind of things. And so I dedicated the entire project to Miss Norsha. and to all the Miss Norshas out there. Because if it wasn't for, for those scrappy special ed teachers that really could see how brilliant me and all my classmates were, and were willing to think outside the box and go toe to toe for us in our schools, there's no way I would be here today.